we are back with the Week 14 edition of Odds On NFL. I'm your host, Dustin Saracini. As you know, here alongside our analyst, Alpha Dog, Matt. You know him. There's a lot to talk about, but before we get started, let's make sure to head on over to Oddspedia, sign up to our Capper contest for an opportunity at $1,000 worth of prizes every single month. Oddspedia rivals may be just what you're missing this Sunday. Fellas, lots to talk about. Let's get right into the headlines, man. And let's start off with Justin Tucker. Does anybody know what is going on with that man? Is he droppable in fantasy? What's going on with this guy? He's got the worst case of the yips that I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think he's just washed. I hate to say this, but age is something that nobody can beat, and he's been doing this for a very long time. He's been the best at doing this for a very long time, and unfortunately, if he was named anybody else, he would have been cut 6 weeks ago. Yeah, not even exaggerating. A full 6 weeks ago, he would have been cut. After this week, I don't know how they stick with him. He's going to end up costing them playoff games. If they stay with him, he could end up costing them playoff positioning. From a fantasy football standpoint, I'll be completely honest. I'm the idiot who took Justin Tucker early. I reached for him to have the best kicker in the league. I cut ties with him 2 days ago, and I picked up on by 𝐬𝐭�𝐲, and I'm using another kicker as a temporary 1 week kicker in Jason Myers this week. And next week, when he's off to bye, 𝐬𝐭�𝐲 will be my replacement for Justin Tucker because I can't have him missing extra points and getting me -3. My league has a -3 penalty for every missed extra point. And this guy is killing my season. I had to get him out.
It's that meme where I think it was last year or was it 2 years ago where Kelsey threw his helmet away during warmups. I think it was during a playoff game, and he's never been the same since. I saw this stat. Yeah. That was it, man. He was warming up in Kansas City's sideline and in the end zone, I think, and Kelsey threw away his helmet, and you saw Justin Tucker just like smile. And he's never been the same since. I was seeing these stats. So like this year, Ravens have 5 losses. Their 5 losses are combined 22 points this season. So if they lost 5 times by a combined 22 points, Tucker has 22 points worth of missed kicks in those Ravens losses. It's
tough. It's tough.
Matt, you have any opinion on how terrible?
The only it's more of a question. I get it. Father Time's undefeated, right? But I mean, this is a fall off the cliff. This isn't kind of it's just he's missing. He's making 18 in a row. He misses 3. It's just like kaboom. And for kickers, that's a weird thing. Usually it doesn't, to my knowledge, it doesn't happen.
I think the future Hall of Famers.
Yeah, I mean, all time. He's really the best kicker ever. I mean, I don't think there's anything about it. He's better than Vinatieri's. I mean, Vinatieri's made bigger kicks, but he's not nearly what – talk about Tucker's range.
Pure talent.
And just you never have to worry. You never had to worry about him missing any field goals, certainly inside of 50 and even 55. You're just like, if you're on one side or the other bet, you're like, well, I'm either winning or I'm losing before he even makes the kick. That's the way it was. And now it's just like, and he has literally cost them, I think, at least 3 wins, maybe 4. Where are they now? They're fighting for the number 1 seed with that. Those are home playoff games. Yeah. It's a big deal. And sometimes you just have to rip the Band-Aid off and send him on his way. I'm a little bit surprised because Tucker seems like a really astute, good guy that he's just not, hey, guys, feign an injury on me, put me on IR.
Right.
One
of those things.
It's tough. It's tough. But tough to admit it. Tough to admit that you're not really the same guy.
I could see them going that route once the playoffs get closer. I think they give him 1 or 2 more games just because he's Justin Tucker, and then they will probably work somebody out if.
I agree. I don't think they cut him because there's just way too much respect. I think they would maybe make him inactive and keep him on the roster. But this guy can't be, if he does not do a full 180, he cannot be your kicker going into the postseason.
Yeah,
he just
absolutely agreed.
Absolutely. The other question though is who's out there that you can trust and rely on. I mean, you got to make sure there's someone at least better.
Yeah. Well, at this point, anybody is better.
Can you hit extra points, Matt? I honestly would take you back there because I think you could hit these extra points.
I am left-footed, so I'm different in that regard. So
I can get like 40 yards. That's pretty much it.
It's like 𝐬𝐭�𝐽
fall off.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Without the GHB
leg back here. All right, from a terrible and sad story to one of the best stories in the league. I mean, Jameis Winston, man, isn't he the gift with Christmas coming around? He's the gift that keeps on giving. You know, in that final drive, it was either they were going to go down and score and win, or he was throwing a pick six. There was no in between. Jameis Winston is just Jameis Winston.
What an asshole! What an asshole!
True. I had the Browns
I
plus
had
6.5.
So many opportunities to catch that game.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. He consistently did everything he could to give that game away. He's such a joy to watch. His audio clips are unbeatable. Nobody's better. But damn, did he piss me off, that kid.
Dude, it wasn't even that pick six. I'm like, okay, they still have a minute 50 to go down and cover. And then they get to the 1 yard line, and he throws arguably the worst
throw
I've
in history.
ever seen.
The worst throw.
It was so bad. It was worse than Kirk Cousins throwing to quadruple coverage this week. It was terrible. Matt, you got anything to say on our beautiful man, James?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, his quote at the end, that's not me. Yeah,
it is.
First of all. Yeah. But I thought the funniest thing because I bailed on that game the fourth quarter, and so I didn't see all that happened after that. And I look and see his stats the next day: 34 for 58. 497, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 2 of which were housed. I'm like, holy shit. It's like the Browns coach said, screw it. We're out of it. It's the Monday Night Football spotlight. Let's give America the quintessential Jameis Winston game that they'll probably someday put on his tombstone. That was it. That was Jameis Winston.
That's what I'm saying. There's no in between. It's like I'm throwing for 500 yards and 6 pick sixes, or I'm throwing for 600 yards and 5 touchdowns or something. Like that's just Jameis Winston.
At least you know what you're getting.
I will say, some person on this show last week came on and said, take Jameis or take the receiver, Jerry Jeudy, to score 2+ touchdowns at plus 2,300. Jameis had him streaking down the middle of the field for an uncontested 80-yard touchdown. He just overthrew him, which would have got us the plus 2,300. So a little frustrating. We didn't get that one there, but Jeudy had a huge game.
Shout out to Jerry Jeudy coming home and absolutely balling out, man.
He won some fantasy matchups yesterday by himself. That week by himself, yeah. And moving forward, I mean, yes, Jerry Jeudy. We'll put a bow on that. I mean, Jameis Winston, absolute stud. Jerry Jeudy, way to come back to Denver and absolutely ball out. But let's move on to this hit, because obviously this was a polarizing hit with the Azeez Al-Shaair, obviously doing some reputable damage to Trevor Lawrence here. I mean, he did the what do they call it? When you get a concussion, it's like the swordfish or the swordsman.
Oh, he was
pose.
fencing.
The fencing pose. That was pretty close. I mean, I should probably know that. But yeah, guys, thoughts on this hit? Thoughts on all the talking heads discussing it? I mean, I was listening to the Pat McAfee show the other day, and they said, I mean, defenders are kind of just fed up with quarterbacks showing up defenders basically and pretending to slide or not going down early enough. What are your thoughts here? Because this seems, in my opinion, incredibly dirty. Like, he's going down, and you're going for the head, you're going for the neck area, and he gets three games. And John Runyon comes out, and he
roast him.
I think it was like 1,000-word essay on why we are suspending you for 3 games. You're unsportsmanlike. Like afterwards, you had trouble walking down the tunnel.
Tried fighting everybody walking off.
Tried fighting everybody. Alpha, what are your thoughts on this?
So I've been fighting with people on Twitter all week, on X, whatever you call that app, that I think this was one of the dirtiest hits that I've ever seen. There's 2 separate conversations, and they are not to be combined with this situation. Yes, quarterbacks need to stop fake sliding. Kenny Pickett is the biggest example. I know he's not really playing anymore, but we also saw the play in Pittsburgh in college when he fake slide up the middle, stayed on his feet, and ran for a touchdown. That has to stop. They have to make it clear. You're sliding or not. You can't do this fake slide shit, because it is leading to people doing these kind of hits. But this specific hit by Al-Shaair does not fit in that category at all. Trevor was clearly sliding.
Yeah.
Way in advance to when he decided to lower his head, go elbow first, and directly attack the head and shoulder area. That was one of the dirtiest hits I've seen in a very long time. Al-Shaair, in my opinion, should have been suspended for the entire year. I understand why they only gave him 3 games. I accept that it's only 3 games. But for everybody who's on social media, all the talking heads that are saying, you can't slow down in the heat of the moment, that was not one of those plays. No. He clearly targeted Trevor Lawrence, and I don't care what excuses he said. And then this guy, after they upheld his suspension, said, you want the villain, it's time to go into villain mode, and put up pictures of, what was the picture of? The Joker? He put up the picture of the Joker. Listen, that's not the game to play with the NFL. John Runyon basically said, if you do anything again, you're getting a steeper and steeper punishment. You want to play that game, go get yourself a full season ban. Go make yourself into an idiot. Go make yourself into the next Vontaze Perfect. Nobody cares that you're threatening to be the next villain. If you act out like that again, you will be hit with an even longer suspension and an even longer fine because you're not going to be playing games. To me,
already a dangerous game. Already a dangerous game. And Matt sent this to the chat with us a couple days ago. This isn't his first offense. He's kind of done this a few times. Matt, you can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly a recidivist. I mean, he's the definition of it. Just watching those clips back that you played. The fact he's been on multiple teams, I think, says something too. And he's not Ronnie Lott. I mean, you're not correct. You can't get away with this stuff and think you're going to stay in the league because you're a superstar stud. You're not. It's why you bounced around. He didn't show much contrition at all. It was like it was dirty. I mean, if you look back at the 70s, you could find 50 hits worse than that. You just can't. Because that's the way the game was played, but it's not played that way anymore, and you can't do that. And it was just I don't know that he intentionally wanted to hurt Trevor Lawrence, but he wanted to make a highlight film.
Yeah.
He wanted to make show you don't go in with your shoulder, with your forearm like that. And as far down as Trevor Lawrence was, and I get it, there are moments where and I'm on defender's side where it's close, right? You can't just keep throwing these flags on these defenders when these guys are sliding late. As Alpha said, that wasn't a late slide. It was dirty. It was malicious. It was wrong. And I'm of the belief that you go to the hockey rule. He doesn't come back until Trevor Lawrence comes back.
I love that. Absolutely, I'm with that 1,000%.
And he's out for the year. So guess what?
The thing is, Lawrence probably won't come back in a lost season, whereas the Texans said,
right. Well, no, he's out. They put him on season-ending IR.
That's your punishment.
If they were in a playoff spot, would he be fighting back to play? You know how the NFL
probably
goes.
Probably.
Exactly. Probably. But you guys have very valid points. And just to play a little devil's advocate or to see the other perspective of the Texans and their fans, for as dirty as it was, and it was dirty. I do like how this team kind of came to his aid. That's like their teammate. Everyone's throwing him under the bus. The GM came out the press conference the next day. He said, Aziz was at United Way this morning. He's giving back. That's the type of player he is. For what we see on the field, supposedly outside of the field, he's very big when it comes to charity. And just to see his team kind of like rattle around him or like be 10 toes behind him. I saw on Instagram, if you look at, you were talking about that post, Alpha, all the comments on that post are his teammates saying, "Oh, we got your back until you're back," all that kind of stuff. So for as dirty as it was, and it was really dirty, it is kind of cool to see his team, rally around him. It's a terrible and dirty hit, but to take your teammates back like that, that's kind of what sports is all about.
Yeah, if those teammates were wearing
Disagree.
Uniforms, they feel completely differently.
Disagree with everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Disagree,
absolutely.
Dustin. I love you. Disagree with that.
Hey, it's not. I'm just playing devil's advocate here, man. It's not something like obviously it's a dirty hit, but some people see it that way.
It doesn't necessarily have to define him and who he is as a human being. But all those clips you saw of who he is as a player, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to defame anybody, certainly on this platform, but maybe he turns into a different dude on a football field. You know what I'm talking about?
I mean, a lot of people do, right? A lot of people do turn into, especially if you're playing that position, linebacker. Those are the guys that are the angriest. The guys that want to compete the hardest on that defense. It's a whole new ball game when you're on that field. But yeah.
Also, my opinion is that he probably went to the United Healthcare thing and the United Healthcare, whatever the hell it is. I think that he did that because he knew what was about to happen. This happened the day after he got ejected. It's not like he was there the morning of the game. No, this happened after you were ejected, facing a major suspension.
Supposedly that's what he does, though. He does that all the time.
He may do that every week. I don't know.
If they could show that he does that every week, that's fantastic. And I'm not taking anything away from him as a player. Exactly what Matt said. But on the field, his actions are bigger than the words that people are saying about him.
Yeah. And this might be a perfect segue into Bozo of the Week. I'm not sure if you guys have a different one. I certainly do. I mean, we did talk a lot about the Aziz hit on Trevor Lawrence, but you guys still need to remember that Matt Eberflus is still a person and coached the Chicago Bears in the final minute of a fourth quarter on Thanksgiving Day. What are we doing? If you're I've seen the Chicago Bears fans reaction videos, and holy shit, that's got to be the worst case of time management with a timeout in your pocket I have ever seen in my life. Thoughts on that, guys?
He did it 4 times.
Yeah, it's so bad, and he's fired. Obviously, he's gone, isn't he? Yeah, he's gone.
That to me was on Caleb Williams. I'm going to be completely honest.
I mean, he could call a timeout too, but you're the
he could.
You're the
but you needed that timeout First of all, the sack happened at exactly 34 seconds left in the game. They were lined up at the line of scrimmage with 19 seconds left. And Caleb stood there looking at the defense, maybe checking his finger paint color for 11 seconds. It took him 11 seconds to snap the ball. They needed a field goal. You needed to hike the ball, throw it 5 yards over the middle, and use your timeout. They needed the timeout. I don't understand how everyone is saying this is Eberflus. To me, that was way more on the quarterback and Caleb Williams than on Eberflus. Eberflus was standing there like, do I do it? Like sitting there hovering over calling timeout. And he knew he couldn't call it because they needed to get a 5-yard play over the middle.
Yeah.
So
there's a few things there. I mean, give your kicker at least a chance. I mean, if you have to call the timeout, call the timeout. And then secondly, you can't, you just can't let the clock run out. It's just a terrible look. And then thirdly, I think he was fired or he's coming under a ton of heat is because in his press conference, he said,
that was bad.
We handled it the right way.
That was bad.
You did not handle that the right way, Matt.
I'm not going to absolve Caleb Williams of blame there, but let's not forget about the fact he's a rookie. It's a heat of the moment. Did the coach tell him ahead of time, the previous timeout, hey, make sure you do this and this and this? I mean, did that go on? You never know though. But I'm gonna veer a little bit. Bozo of the week. I'm gonna come back to our previous topic. And because anytime I can call Tom Brady Bozo of the week, I'm going to call him Bozo of the week. Yeah. You see the shit he said after that hit? He's basically saying he's siding with the people saying, defenders need to, what are they supposed to do? This is a guy who begged for a flag anytime someone breathed on him. Yeah. And he comes out saying, I don't know, that wasn't that bad of a hit. Oh, come on. If that was you, look at the clip we just showed. Azir,
oh my God! If that was him, he'd be suspended for the rest of his career if he did that.
Out of here, Brady, freaking clown.
That's a good Bozo of the week. I like that. Alpha.
I mean, mine was going to be the obvious one at Al-Shaair, but I guess you can also throw in Kirk Cousins because of how poor of a performance he had against the Chargers. 4 interceptions, multiple in the red zone. But let me tell you something, as somebody who had the Chargers money line, big Cousins fan of what he did last weekend. I appreciate his disaster.
I was thinking about you. I saw you drop that pick, and as soon as he threw like his 4th interception, I'm like, Alpha's got to love this, man.
Doing laps around my apartment, brother. Just running laps in a circle.
Great.
It's one of my favorite stats of the week. Cousins threw 3 more interceptions in 39 attempts than Justin Herbert's thrown in 336 attempts all year.
That's insane. That's just insane. Shout out Herbie, though. He's having a great season.
Great season.
Let's head on over to, great conversation. 18 minutes in. We're just getting to the picks now. I mean, there was a lot of headlines here, so I don't fault us one bit. Great conversation, fellas. Let's head on over to our Thursday nighter because this is a fantastic game, man. We got the Packers. We got the Lions. We got the best Packers versus Lions player props for you already uploaded into Oddspedia. Go and take a look at that. Our man, Ethan Diamandis, does an absolutely great job. But, guys, let's head on over to our picks. We got 54% of bets on the Lions at -3. 58% are on the over at 51.5. I think that numbers dropped down a bit, if I'm not mistaken. And I think the lines are actually 3.5 now at some sports books.
Still 51.5 I see on FanDuel, and it is going towards a flat 3 line. 3.5 is at a -104, so you can buy it up to a 3 at about a -115.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Lions in this spot, but more on that later. Guys, where are you headed to? And Captain Joking, appreciate you joining us. He says that, can we all agree that Brock Bowers is the rookie of the year?
Yes,
Look at what
bro.
he's doing with no quarterback.
Yes, bro.
Sanders next year at center. Oh, my God. Yes, that would be actually a lot of fun to look at. I love Brock Bowers, man. That guy is going to be an absolute stud. He is already an absolute stud. But let's keep it here on Thursday Night Football. Matt, who are you going with and why?
I'm going with the Packers. I'm taking the points, and I'm playing them on the money line, boys. I'm going all out here.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure you guys are going the other way, which is fine. I'm looking at the ESPN. I'm looking at ESPN.com's injury page for the Lions. It looks like a 3rd grade coloring book with all the red on it. They've got 12 defensive players on injured reserve right now. They're down both starting defensive linemen or 2 starting defensive linemen. In fact, a bunch of their linebackers are either questionable in the deep. And this is all the thing, but their pass rush is the key for the defense because it masks the problems that the Lions traditionally have in the secondary, right? So now you got Jordan Love. The Packers are coming in here playing well. Obviously, They beat the pants off the 49ers 2 weeks ago. They took care of business last week. And one thing I want to bring about Jordan Love here in this situation, he's 4-2 straight up and against the spread indoors. 4-0 straight up against the spread since last Thanksgiving. Beat the Rams this year, kicked the Cowboys' ass in the playoffs, crushed Minnesota last year, and guess what? Beat the Lions in Detroit on Thanksgiving Day. Love's stats in all 6 of his games indoors, 64% completion percentage, 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. The last 4, all those wins, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. The Packers, since last November, a 6-2 straight up, 7-1 against the spread as an underdog of more than 2.5 points or more. I just think this line came down for a reason. I like the fact that at BetMGM, the money is on the Packers, but the tickets are on the Lions. It tells me the sharps are on the Packers in this game. I think it's those injuries. You can only get through so many injuries without it impacting you. I think this is the game, especially a short week. As long as Green Bay shows up, I like the fact Josh Jacobs is off the injury report. He wouldn't play anywhere close if he wasn't, because they're not going to ruin their chance in the playoffs. Yeah. I like Green Bay in this game. I like Green Bay a lot. Play them on the money line. They're winning this game, boys.
I think so too.
Matt Alpha, who you like in here? I love that.
I have a different angle, though. I have a different angle, but I agree with you. I think if you were to take a side, there's only one side you can take, and that is the Packers. I'm taking the over here, guys, and there's several reasons on why. Let's take a look at this Packers secondary. Corey Ballantyne ruled out, one of their better corners, and then Jair Alexander has been ruled out as well.
Yeah.
If you don't know if you're watching this show right now, you do not know who Jair Alexander is. He is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. He is by far their best defender. Him and Xavier McKinney are the 2 best, but Jair is even better than Xavier McKinney, in my opinion. That's a big, big loss in this type of game, especially with the number 2 corner and Corey Ballantyne being out as well. Not having either of them in this Detroit Lions offense should be able to move the ball via the air all they want in this game. Edgerrin Cooper, one of their better linebackers, is out too. On the other side, the Lions, who isn't injured on their injury report, their defense is absolutely decimated. The only way the Lions can win and compete in this game is to score and throw with the Packers, because the Packers are going to put up a ton of points in this game. I don't see how the Lions stop this Packers offense. But on the other side, the Lions should be able to throw all game long on this Green Bay Packers defense. So over 51.5 is by far my favorite angle on this game.
Yeah, I like that play. And Matt, I'm on the Lions, but the more you talk about Green Bay, the more I kind of like them. But I'm going to stick with the Lions here for variety and for my wallet, because honestly, the Lions have done me so well this year.
Sure.
Betting on them. It's also very difficult to bet against that Lions offense. You said it, Jair Alexander is out. The Lions traveled to Green Bay earlier this season and won by 10, and you're going to give me -3 at home. I mean, Detroit's 5-1 at home, 5-1 against the spread at home. They put up 23, 52, 52, 42, and 26 at Ford Field this year. They absolutely just love playing at Ford Field, yo. I have no qualms about taking the ATS Darlings and giving away 3 points here, especially if it's just -3 and it's not -3.5. I'm going to be all over that number. You know, I don't think the 10-game win streak's stopping here. Detroit's got their top 5 rushing defense. We all know that the Packers offense funnels through Josh Jacobs, and I'll let the offense do the rest. I like the Lions -3 here if you can get them at a few sports books. I know they're -3.5 a lot of other places, but yeah.
You can find it 3. You can
find it 3. Exactly. I'm taking the Lions at -3 all day here on Thursday Night Football. I absolutely love that offense. So there we go. We got the Packers, we got the over, and we've got the Lions here. We've got it all covered for you at Odds On. Let's head on over to our Sunday Nighter, man, because that's another good game. We've got some pretty good primetime games here this week. We've got the Chargers at the Chiefs. 70% of the bets right now are on the Chargers at +4. 67% of bets are on the over at 42.5. Alpha, I'll bounce it back to you. Who you liking here?
The LA Chargers, boys. I am all over the Chargers plus the 4 here, or 3.5, whichever your book can get. I'm happy with any that are over 3. It has to be over 3, though, that key critical number of 3. This Chargers defense is legit. This defense can really play some ball, and this Chiefs team tends to play down to competition. I know the Chargers are not a bad team, but are they as talented as the Chiefs? No, but the Chiefs don't ever seem to cover in these types of games. We all saw it last week. It seemed like the refs really did help them out in that win over the Raiders. To me, that did look like a pre-snap motion penalty, which should have given the Raiders the ball. They should have been able to keep it. That fumble should have never happened.
What is going on there, man?
But this is what happens with the Chiefs. Somehow, some way, they end up in the situation where they win the game. That could happen here. that doesn't matter to me. They can
Yeah.
win this game by anywhere within a field goal. As long as it's within those 3 points, I think we will definitely cover this game. I don't know who wins this game. The Chargers are very good. I can absolutely see them winning this game outright, but so are the Chiefs. I think that this game, with 2 seconds left, one of these teams will be trying a kicker on the field to win the game. And whoever's doing that, we win if that's how the game ends. So give me the plus 3.5. I love the Chargers in this spot.
Matt, I'll go here because I know you're getting a little saucy on this one, but I'm taking the Chargers plus 3.5 as well. You said it, dude. They win. The Chiefs do, but they do not cover. I mean, what's going on there? They should have lost to the Raiders if it wasn't for like the disastrous fumble, but you already talked about how that probably should have been called back. You know, that we saw the ref, I think he called a false start and then took it away, and then he called a illegal shift, and then they took it away. Something. I mean, it was just insane to watch how the Chiefs win week in, week out.
It's crazy.
The Chiefs barely got past the last place Panthers the week before. They lost to the Bills the week prior to that. And I truly believe in this Chargers team, man. Even though, you know, they lost 30-23 to the Ravens a week ago, it was probably worse than what the box score shows. You know, KC hasn't covered in six straight games. Jim Harbaugh's squad is 5-1 over that same span. LA lost by 7 points to KC already earlier this year, but that was with Herbert battling a leg injury, and Joey Bosa was out that game too. They got
Joey Bosa's always out.
Yeah. It's true. But Herbert's back, man. He's fully healthy. I think, like Alpha talked about, this is a field goal game at best. And if you get the Chargers at +4, +3.5, take it. But take that half. Take that half for sure.
Yeah,
I like them at +4. I like them at 3.5 because if KC wins, it's always by a field goal lately. And the Chargers could win this one outright, man. I love that defense. I love everything about the Chargers right now. I'm going the Chargers. Matt.
Fun fact, quickly, KC did just have to sign yet another kicker. Schroeder, whatever the hell that guy's name is, he's out yet again. They picked up Matthew Wright off free agent.
Yeah, Chiefs 5-7 against the spread too. So they just have not been the ATS darlings that we have grown to know them be over the last few years. Matt, where are you headed? I know you're getting a little saucy here.
Yeah, I'm doing something that is very any sharp better would beat me over the head for doing this, but for playing a teaser like this. But I'm teasing the Chiefs to +2, and I'm taking the under at 49. You guys kind of hit on it. The Chiefs, when they win by close margins lately. For sure, it's been that way, and I don't see a lot of points being scored in this game. I won't really get into that. These two defenses are too good, and the offenses are playing a little more conservative. Is all the talk about the Chiefs and the Chiefs, they're not the same Chiefs, and they're not. They don't pass the eye test. They're still 17-1 since New Year's Eve. 17-1. They went 10-1-1 ATS in the first 12 of those games. As Dustin pointed out, they failed to cover in the last 6 in a row. It's the longest spread covering drought since an 0-5 slump in the midst of a 10-game winning streak in 2020 when Mahomes' first year as a starter. Guys, the last time the Chiefs went 7 straight games without covering a point spread, weeks 5 through 11, 1985. I looked that up yesterday.
Great poll.
Wow.
Unbelievable, right? So you mentioned the Kansas City's close wins. The Chargers, the problem is the Chargers still lead the league in scoring defense, but they've been leaking the last 3 weeks. 350 yards to Atlanta, 389 to Baltimore, 452 to Cincinnati. The Chargers are 7-1 against teams that are currently 500 or worse. 7-1 straight up against spread. They only lost that 2-point loss to Arizona where they kicked a bunch of field goals. The offense in those 7 wins have scored at least 22 points, except for the 17-point game in there. But against teams that are above 500, they're 1-3 straight up, 1-2-1 against the spread. The only win was against a Denver team that was still finding itself in week 6.
Yeah.
Offense didn't do much in any of those 4 games. The Chiefs have 2 days of extra rest. Kansas City's last 6 straight wins against the Chargers. They've covered 4 times. They're 7-2 when Mahomes starts against the Chargers, but only 4-5 against the spread. Chiefs wins by 7-1, 14-3, 3-6 in overtime, and 3. See all those 3s in there, guys? Remember what Alpha and Dustin was talking about? Mm-hmm. So, again, I expect a very low-scoring game. I could see this going either way. So, normally you don't tease across 0 with a 4 or 3.5. But I'm doing it in this case because I just don't trust taking the Chiefs. I don't trust taking the Chargers plus the points because of how they performed against good teams, which they haven't faced very many this year. And say what you will about the Chiefs, they're still the number 1 seed in the East, AFC West, in the AFC, and they're still 11-1 on the season. So they win. It's what they do. So that's my play today, and you can come laugh at me next week when I.
No, that I like that under, man. That under might be a good look. I might have to sprinkle a little bit on that as well. Alongside the Chargers plus 3.5. The more I hear you talk about it, the more I'm kind of sold. But fellas, we have another primetime game, our last primetime game before we get into Oddspedia games of the week. We're flying here now. I love it. Love the pace. We've got the Bengals at the Cowboys, which at the beginning of the season could have been one of the best games of the year, but the season plays out and it's not even close to that. 56% are on the over at 49.5. 63% of bets are on the Bengals at -5.5. I think all three of us are on different sides here, which I love to see. Alpha, where are you headed?
Bengals, 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 boys. The reason the Bengals lose games right now is because of their defense. I do not see this Cowboys offense putting up a ton of points in this game. I really don't. I think this Bengals team will get the offense rolling. There's a ton of injuries in this game. But when you take a look at the Cowboys, they are going to be without Zach Martin again. His season is over. He was put on season-ending IR. His career could be over, to be completely honest. What a career he's had, if so. But he will be missing yet again from this specific ballgame. CeeDee Lamb is a true questionable. I don't know if he goes. Genuinely. Why are you going to play him at this point of the year? Do the Cowboys really want to win football games at 5-7? I think that they really want to start.
Micah Parsons says they're back. He says they're back.
Great. They could say that all they want. Does the ownership, does the GM, do the coaches, does the staff want to win football games? It might not be in their best interest to win games for the rest of the year. The Bengals on the other side, Zach Taylor is fighting for his job. He needs to win this game. Somehow, Mike McCarthy is going to be brought back to the Cowboys. Somehow.
God, I hope you're right. Oh, that'd be so great.
Didn't Jerry Jones laugh saying he said he was going to give him a contract extension, and then the press kind of laughed, and he's like, why are you guys laughing?
Yeah, no, that's exactly why. I mean, it just seems like Jerry likes comfortability right now in his, the later part of his life. I don't think he wants to make any real changes, and he's going to scapegoat the Dak injury, the Micah injury earlier, the CD injury, and say that's the reason we're bad. No, it's because you put a terrible product on the field yet again. But I digress. Back to this specific game, I really do think the Bengals are going to have a big statement win for them. Zach Taylor is coaching for his job, like I did say, and this Cowboys defense should have a major issue stopping Joe Burrow, who, what a shame that he's having this type of season in this. The way he's playing compared to how the team is playing just doesn't make any sense. He has 30 touchdowns on the year, guys, to only 5 interceptions, and his team is 4-8. It's just, you got to feel for a guy like that. But in this specific game, I really do think we see this offense explode. Chase Brown should have a big performance. We should see Joe Burrow find T. Higgins down the field. He should be able to find Jamar Chase in the end zone. I'm expecting a big performance from the Bengals. Give me them on the -5.5.
Yeah, any other year, Joe Burrow would be in the conversation for MVP, but he's running away with comeback player of the year, so there's a consolation for him.
There you go. There you go.
Comeback player of the year, Joe Burrow. Matt, where are you headed on this game?
I'm going shootout. I'm taking over 49.5 points. Cincinnati's 9-3 to the over this year. They have 5 straight overs, all 50-plus points, including 65, 69, 61, and 82. 4-2 over the road. The Cowboys are 8-4 overall. 5-1 to the over at home, 63, 56, 40, 44, and 47. Cincinnati's offense the last 5 games, 41, 34, 27, 28. 38. They've scored 25-plus points in 8 of their 12 games. Their defense in the last 5 has allowed 37, 24, 35, 34, and 44. It's just – and I get the Cooper Rush thing is what kind of is the only thing that has me hesitating here because, as Alpha pointed out, the Cincinnati's defense in games quarterbacked by Jacoby Brissett, Deshaun Watson, and Danny Dimes, they gave up 16, 7, and 14 points. Everyone else has scored at least 24 points, and a bunch of teams have blown past 30. But look at Dallas' defense. They played Deshaun. They played Danny Dimes, Justin Fields, Drew Lock. They gave up 17, 15, 17, and 20 points. Look at the other games. 44 points, Derek Carr, 28 Lamar, 47 Goff, 30 Purdy, 27 Cousins, 34 Jalen Hurts, 34 Stroud, 26 Jaden Daniels. The Cowboys aren't going to stop this team. I think the Bengals could score 40 in this game. And if they score 35, I think the Cowboys can get us 17 points, even some garbage points to get us over the top here. I don't love the play because it's a high number. I wish it was more like 47 than 49.5. But I still think we're going to see points in this game. I just don't think that the Cowboys defense, even a little bit healthier than it has been, is going to stop Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and now healthy T. Higgins.
No, I agree. And I love the over 2 and shout out Derek for dropping his prop of the week. I mean, I absolutely love Bucky Irving. He's on my fantasy team. That guy could be winning me a championship this year. Good for him.
Nice.
But I'm headed I'm actually going Cowboys +5.5, but I also really love the over 49.5. And the reason why I'm going Cowboys here, I'm like, when you look at this game, my initial thought heads to the total and then it heads to the over. And that's for one reason, man, that the Bengals defense. You brought up a good point, though, Alpha. I mean, Taylor is coaching for his job, but that defense is an absolute train wreck. They are a disaster. They've single-handedly ruined an incredible Joe Burrow season. Like I said, he'd be running for MVP if they could even sniff the playoffs, but they can't because of that defense, man. They allow 28 points per game, the second worst just outside of Carolina in the National Football League. They got torched by Russell Wilson, who broke several Steelers records. He dropped 44 points and 414 yards on them. Russell Wilson, who thankfully he's starting to look more like Russell. That's better. That's good for football, good for the NFL, good for us as fans. But it's been 3 weeks since the last time that Bengals defense let up less than 30 points. This unit is just an absolute disaster, a basement-dwelling defense that shouldn't see the light of day anytime soon. They are so bad. Keep them locked down there. I never want to see them play football again. Sorry, Cincinnati fans, but they are so bad. That defense is just matchup-proof, man. I love the over. I'm taking Dallas 5.5. It's a team that's reignited. You know, they think they have a chance at making the playoffs and going on a run, so I think they're running with that. The defense is finally healthy. You know, Micah Parsons is back. We've seen what he can do. Devon Overshown has looked incredible. Deron Bland's back. I really like this Cowboys team now that it's fully healthy. And I said a team that still believes they aren't done. So I'm taking the Cowboys plus 5.5, and I am taking the over 49.5. I absolutely love the Cowboys. Now watch them get absolutely smoked. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think they're capable of being smoked against that defense. Like it's not a lie that they are terrible.
They are terrible. That's absolutely true.
All right, let's head on over to the Oddspedia games of the week, man. We got two. We got Seahawks, Cardinals. We got Bills, Rams. Let's keep it with the Seahawks and the Cardinals right now. We got 76% of bets on the Seahawks at +3, 60% on the over at 44.5. Alpha, are you ready for this one? You want me to throw it over to you? If so, you got
Let's go to Matt first. All right,
Matt, go. Hey, we're all actually on different sides again. We absolutely love it. Matt, where are you headed on this one, brother?
Yeah, I'm on under 44.5. When we talked about this game a couple weeks ago, I gave out the first teaser I gave up, and it went belly up because Arizona just could not get those teaser points I needed at the end of the game, but it was a dead under, which I knew it would be. So I got the under right there. I'm coming back on the under in this game. Seattle's had 5 straight unders before last week's 26-21 win at the Jets, which was going to go under until the Jets went Jets, because that's what they do. Arizona's 4 straight unders. They're 7-2-1 under in their last 10 games, including 4-1 at home. Arizona's at home this season. They played a bunch of low-scoring games. 2013 Lions, 17-15 Chargers, 29-9 Chicago, 31-6 Jets. Seattle's offense has scored 20-plus points or fewer in 5 straight games before last week. Arizona's defense allowing 16 points per game the last 6 weeks. Mentioned the game 2 weeks ago. It was a 16-6 final that Seattle won. The unders actually 12-6 in the last 18 meetings. And the 12 unders, 22 points, 41, 30, 18, 36, 49 was a high under. 40, 37, 37, 38, 12, and 42. So well under this 44.5 point total for the most part. And a bunch of games in Arizona have gone under too. So again, not a play I love, but if I'm playing this game, I'm not touching this side. I don't trust either one of these teams. And I just don't see a shootout happening. I got a feeling someone might say something different, given that Dustin said we're on different sides here, but I could be wrong. But I'm going under 44.5.
Yes, 16-6 last time these guys played, November 24th.
Yep.
Alpha, where are you headed? I know you're going.
I'm on a parlay, guys. I'm on a parlay. Matt, I'm very similar in feeling on this game with you. I had to find other ways to incorporate this game into a play because I didn't like the side in this one. I also agree with you, the under, but I wasn't comfortable with the under with how bad Arizona's defense really can be in Seattle being able to throw the ball. Made me a little hesitant. So what I did for this game is I did a little money line parlay with the Bills on the money line and the Vikings, a game that we haven't talked about. And that parlay comes in at a +110. I think both those teams will have no issues winning this weekend. The Falcons are going to go all Falcons as usual. They are on the road at Minnesota. Minnesota is a 5.5 point favorite. And I do think they take care of business. That's another team that somehow they just continuously win football games. They don't cover ever, but they continuously just win football games. So we're taking the Vikings on the money line.
Are you talking about the Bills game or on the Cardinals game?
We're on the Cardinals Seahawks team.
Cardinals.
Nope, I'm on the wrong one. That's what
Come on.
Great work there. I thought that
Open
was
your ears.
I had it the wrong way. I'm on the over 44.5. So the exact opposite of that. I apologize there.
Open your damn ears.
The Arizona has been an over team early in the year, and that has changed as of late. So I do think we are going to see that go back because I do think the two defenses aren't going to be great here, and I do think Arizona is going to give up a ton of points. So unfortunately, I let up my pick for the next game a little early. But on this one, I am taking the over. But I feel as Matt does, I'm not very confident in this one. It's probably my least favorite pick out of all the ones that we made this week.
Hey, sometimes the best play is no play, right?
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm taking Seattle +3. I'm riding with the public here. I mean, Seattle, again, Seattle getting points in what can easily be a field goal game is kind of confusing for me. I like the +3. I would love it if you can get the hook at +3.5. Gannon's defense has just been having so much trouble getting off the field, dude. The Vikings exposed them once again last week. They rank 31st in opponent third down conversions. I think Geno and Seattle are very good at manufacturing drives. You saw that last week. And he'll put up enough points to keep this one close, if not win this one outright. I'm taking Seattle +3.5. Watch those conversions on third down, man. All right, Alpha, I'll let you take this one away, man. We've got the Bills.
Shocker.
We've got the Rams. 66% of bets are on the over 49.5. 77% are on the Bills -4.5. Not a shock there, but Alpha, go ahead, brother.
I got a little surprise for everyone. I'm targeting a money line parlay with this one because I just was not comfortable taking a side here. The Bills had an unbelievable performance last weekend in the snow. We all saw that against the 49ers. However, with this one at a 3.5-point line, it just feels a little fishy. With them on the road versus the Rams, I thought this line should have been a little higher. That's why I'm a little afraid of taking the spread. Give me them on the money line, and it's a money line parlay with, as you guys know, the Vikings. I do think the Vikings will get it done. They're a team that just somehow continuously wins. They may not cover a lot of games, but they continuously win ball games. And guys, you can get that parlay at a +110. This is one of the plays I absolutely love this week. This is going to be one of my top 3 bets on my official card for this weekend, and it's exactly what we're playing. The money line parlay with the Bills and the Vikings. They both should have no issues just winning the game outright.
I love it. I love it. Matt, where are you headed, brother?
I'm taking the Bills. A little bit of a chalk play, a little bit of a square play here. It is a tricky spot for Buffalo. They're coming off a 3-week stretch of Kansas City, then a bye, then San Francisco. Took care of business against the Chiefs and the Niners. Obviously, the Niners are a shell of what we thought they were going to be, but still a big win. Now they've got the Rams, and it's a bit of a sandwich spot because they go from L.A., they go to Detroit to play the Lions, which is obviously a bigger game than playing the Rams. So it's a tricky spot here. But Buffalo scored 30-plus points in 6 straight games and 9 of 12 this season. The offense only sputtered once. It was during a 3-game road trip. They went on the road to play Baltimore, Houston, and the Jets. They scored 10, 20, and 23 points respectively. That's it. Otherwise, 30-plus points in every game. The defense has held opponents to exactly 10 points in 5 of their last 9 wins. They've given up more than 20 points just 3 times all season, 28 to Arizona, 35 to Baltimore, 27 to Miami. 4 times, and 23 to Houston. Buffalo's got 6 double-digit wins. 8 of the 10 wins are by 6 points, 6-plus points. The only exceptions, they beat the Dolphins and the Jets by a field goal. You can look at Josh Allen. I was shocked to see he's now a heavy odds-on favorite to win MVP.
Yeah.
And then the Rams versus elite teams this year. They're 1-3 straight up against the spread. They lost to the Lions on the opener, Sunday night opener in Detroit. They lost at home to Green Bay. They did beat Minnesota, but I don't think Minnesota's as good as Detroit or Green Bay, despite their win over Green Bay. And then they got boat raced at home by Philadelphia a couple weeks ago. So the Bills are just rolling right now, and I think the only way that they don't win this game or don't cover this game is if they just get in a flat spot. In fact, guys, frankly, I think you either lay the points with the Bills or you play the Rams on the money line. I just don't
really.
I don't think it's going to be. I don't think you're going to see a 3-point game in this one. I really don't.
So Matt just said everything Alpha said about his parlay. Throw it out the window. Thank you,
Listen
man.
to me. I am Matt.
No, I said, Hey, money line's money line. They win by 30. It still counts, right?
Let's get it.
Hey, I'm taking the Bills here, -4.5. I'm with you there, man. And for one reason, and that is that man that you guys see pictured. Can we give Josh Allen his flowers for just a second? Like, what the hell did we just watch last week? He put an absolute exclamation point on that MVP race, didn't he? I mean, you see it in the odds right now. He's -270 to win the MVP. And that's probably why because he had a passing, a rushing, and a receiving touchdown in one game. Trifecta. Like, who does that? Nobody does that, man. He's just what a player, dude. The things that would do for him to be a Miami Dolphin, you have no idea. But great quarterback, man. Great man. Good for you. Good for you, Josh Allen.
You have Tua.
Yeah.
You know who's on this show with you? The
I-
guy with Drew Lock.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, man. But they're just not, like Josh Allen is just Josh Allen. That guy is must watch every single week. I'm sorry
Absolutely.
for the Giants, man. The quarterback atmosphere in the Giants is just a debacle,
Yeah,
to say
thanks.
the least. We just gave Tua a ton of money, but yes, Tua is Tua. He's been playing some great football, but just watching Josh Allen play football every week, that guy is next level, and that is why he's the MVP likely this season. We'll see. But yeah, you can probably see where I'm going here. The Bills are absolutely rolling right now. Still in contention for number one in the conference. You know, I don't see Matt Stafford going toe to toe with arguably the best QB in football right now. Not to mention Kyron Williams has got the case of fumble-itis, man. He's fumbled in 3 of his last 5 games. 2 fumbles against Philly a couple weeks ago. I think he does so again, man. Buffalo's defense, they're a turnover machine. They'll capitalize on that battle, and they might just pull away late in the third quarter. If Miami can beat these Rams, you know who can. The Bills sure can. So let's go Bills -4 and back the MVP because he is putting up MVP numbers and he is fantastic at football. And I will stop talking about Josh Allen now. Let's head on over to our props, though, fellas. We got some props. We got our picks. We got some props for Sunday. Let's head on over to that segment. One of my favorite segments as we round table this bad boy, fire off our 3 best prop plays for the Sunday slate, one at a time. We've had a few of you in chat, but if you're in chat right now and you have a prop that you love, send it in to us. We'll talk about it. But while we wait, I'll fire off my best prop of the week, and that's Saquon Barkley, 100+ rushing yards. That dude is just incredible, and the math is mathing on this one. Realistically, Saquon could actually rush for 1,000 against Carolina in this game. He's going up against the worst rush defense in the NFL. The volume will be there. The game script will be there. He's gone over 100 yards in 6 of his last 7 games, including that 255-yard performance against the Rams a couple of weeks ago. He has 1,000 yards after contact right now. He's averaging 4.4 yards before contact, most of any running back in the last 10 seasons. He's averaging 80 yards per game after halftime, one of the most historic stats I've ever seen in my life. You don't need me to tell you how good he is, but this is a prop you just have to play. It's a pure volume play. He's going to carry the ball over 20 times. He's done it in 3 straight weeks. Saquon Barkley, over 100 rushing against Carolina Panthers. I mean, he's on pace to break the all-time single-season rushing records, and he's going to get it, man. He's going to
Yep, absolutely agree with you. I could not be in any more lock and step with you on that, and I also have a wild take about Saquon.
A wild take? All right, let's head on over to you. What's your best prop for Sunday?
Well,
bro?
my best prop is going to be Saquon 2+ touchdowns at +250. So I wanted to
You
get in
love
there while
those
you were
plays,
talking
and I
about
love
him.
you for
You
it.
know I love those 2+ ones. You could get some value. Saquon, to me, you're looking at the MVP. I do think he will surpass Josh Allen because of what he's meant to this Eagles team and the way they're going to finish the season. I have tickets on Saquon to win MVP, and I still think Derrick Henry, I know this has nothing to do with this topic. Derrick Henry, who's at a crazy odds right now for Offensive Player of the Year, I love him to win that award because I think Saquon's going to edge out Josh Allen to win MVP this year. But back to this play, I think Saquon's going to continuously do what he's been doing. And that's why you can only get this in the +220 to +250 range, is because he's been getting 2 touchdowns consistently. He can get it in the passing game or the rushing game. And this is going to be another game where I think the Eagles are going to try and pad his stats. I think they're trying to get him the rushing record. And when you're going up against a team like the Carolina Panthers, there's a ton of opportunities for Saquon to find the end zone. Give me him 2+.
Yeah, I have a win and you're in type play against in fantasy this week, and Saquon's on my team. Perfect timing to be paying that Carolina.
You know what I heard? I read something yesterday. 71% of leagues, either the guy in first place or in second place, or female, whoever's in first or second place in the league has Saquon Barkley in 71% of leagues.
Wow,
what an insane stat!
Yeah, I mean,
so you're ruining that, by the way. If you're in a playing game, you're ruining that statistic.
Man, my team's pretty good too. I've just had some bad luck, but yeah, Saquon's going to bring me to the promised land. I have no doubt about it.
I think so
Matt,
too.
Favorite prop of Sunday, brother?
Yeah, Alpha, can we get at least 1, if not 2 of those Saquon TDs to be off the arm of Jalen Hurts instead of running?
Sure.
Because I'm going Hurts over 1.5 touchdown passes. You know, you look at either way this Panthers defense, they suck against the pass, they suck against the run. So let's just talk about the pass. Carolina's given up 22 passing touchdowns this season. That's tied for 3rd most. Derek Carr had 3, Bo Nix had 3, Mahomes had 3, Herbert had 2, Burrow had 2. Caleb Williams had 2. Marcus Mariota in relief of Jay Daniels had 2. Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell combined for 2 with the Raiders. The only quarterbacks who haven't thrown for 2 touchdowns against against the Panthers this season. Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr in another game, so he had 3 and 1 and none of the other. I'm sorry, had 1, and Cousins had 1, and then of course Alpha's boy Danny Dimes, the only guy who hasn't thrown a single touchdown against Carolina this year. Last I checked, no rain or wind expected for Philly in this game. Hurts only does have 4 games with multiple TD passes: the Packers, the Browns, the Jags, and the Cowboys. So again, he's doing the damage with he's got the second most rushing touchdowns in the NFL. It's crazy. But let's see him get his wide receivers involved, feed them a little bit, make them happy. It shouldn't be too difficult to get to as long as they get them early, because if they're up big, not going to throw the ball in the second half. So it's plus money. It's a good plus 120 play on Hurts over 1.5 touchdown passes. I saw the plus 120, I think, at Bet 365 yesterday, so that's what I'm going with.
Does it scare you at all about Goddard? Because he didn't practice again today. Do you think he's a big red zone weapon for them? I don't.
Yeah. Oh, sure. That's the scary part. But he's also going to have Devonta and AJ Brown out there. So and those guys will get double covered as long as the tight end that replaces Goddard. He's probably going to get lost in the shuffle. If he's got any hands that aren't made of stone, he should be able to catch the ball in the red zone and get in the end zone himself.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you. I think that's a really good play. I'm going to tell you on that.
Don't send me the bill when it loses.
Devontae practiced today, so that's what sold me on it. Once I saw Devontae, a full participant, I'm in.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, if you're in chat, remember, send us your prop plays, guys. My second prop play, I'm going to go Josh Allen over passing. This is the last time I'll speak of his name on the show, I promise. I do think the Bills will win, but I also believe the Rams will do, enough to keep this one close, which will allow Allen to stay in the game, use his arm to go over this number. He'll be playing in a dome, which is notorious for quarterbacks to go over the passing numbers. We know the no elements game script and a potentially high-scoring game with the Rams. Allen's gone over 250, 260 in 4 of his last 6 games. I love the way this offense is coming together. Give me that man over passing. Alpha, your second best prop of the week. Give it to us.
Second best prop of the week, Bijan Robinson, anytime touchdown. I do think if anyone's going to score for the Falcons, it's going to be Bijan. Let me put a picture in your head. If you're a Falcons fan, do you want Kirk Cousins dropping back in the red zone again this week after what he did last week?
Yes,
I don't think so. So give me Bijan. I think he will score at least once in this game.
Love it. Matt.
We'll get back to
Algier.
We'll get back to Bijan in a little bit, but my second play
is for sure.
My second play is also Josh Allen related. It's a score anytime touchdown. Maybe this is just because he hit last week for me in my article on the Sunday Night Football game. Have him scoring a touchdown. He's got 6 rushing and 1 receiving touchdown this year because that crazy thing that happened yesterday or last week with the Niners. He's scored touchdowns in 3 straight games, 4 total. Touchdowns in 5 of the final 6 games last year. So he's been a big late game touchdown scorer. He scored rushing touchdowns in 8 of his last 10 road games. The Rams have only allowed 10 rushing touchdowns this year. They're not too bad when it gets down to the goal line in terms of D'ing up. But I just think Josh Allen is a different kind of player. The only thing just off the prop thing is I want to go back to what Dustin was saying about Josh Allen. Why doesn't he get his props and blah, 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 and he's great. And I agree with all that. And it just sort of hit me, just kind of came to me. Because I'm a Lamar Jackson critic. What is this? This guy needs to win in January. He doesn't win in January. Well, Josh Allen, come on now. I mean, yes, that game in Kansas City a couple years ago was not his fault. They should have won the game.
Yeah.
But the facts are the facts. He hasn't been to the Super Bowl either, and he gets bounced at home. He got bounced by Burrow at home. He got bounced by Mahomes at home. So this guy needs to – enough with the regular season BS. Like me as a Dodger fan, enough with the regular season. I don't give a shit.
You got to shake that narrative.
So let's see.
Shake that narrative that you're just a regular season king, right?
Exactly.
Show up in January. That's what he's thinking going into the playoffs. He's not been able to get there. Can he get over the hump this year? And
him getting engaged doesn't make me any more confident about him.
That's a whole nother conversation about it. Don't get engaged if you want to win MVP. And
Saquon MVP, Matt. Love what you're saying right now.
Alpha, did you give us your second? If not,
I did.
Oh, you did? All right, back to me already. We love this.
Honey Bijan, baby.
Yes, Honey Bijan, which Matt probably has him sitting. But I'm going 8-10 anytime touchdown against the Jets for my final play. What is going on with this Jets team, dude? They're giving up 126 yards per game on the ground. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about how bad they are, but they are one of the worst units in the league. They're the 12th worst red zone defense in the NFL. I just can't believe how bad they are considering how incredible that unit was last year. But give me HN to find the paint at plus money. HN anytime touchdown, my third favorite prop of the week.
Love that.
Alpha, Over to you, brother.
Just a little friendly reminder, some idiot, an absolute idiot on this show gave out the Jets to be like a huge story this year. Just going to throw that back out there. It might be the guy, in the Knicks hat and the Rutgers shirt right now. It might be me, but who knows? We're not going to go into that. My third and final.
It goes into the reverse Jinx Hall of Fame, frankly, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure does. Thanks for that, Matt. Love the support. Let's move on to my third and final prop, which is going to be Jerry Jeudy, anytime touchdown. Did anybody see what he did last week? I mean, the guy's an absolute star right now. He's been getting better and better. And with Jameis Winston, it does seem that is his true number one option, is to target over and over and over Jerry Jeudy. And I think we're going to see that same kind of game script yet again here. We all know the kind of quarterback that Jameis is. We've talked enough about him today. But he's a true definition of a gunslinger. It's just what it is. And I know a lot of people are going to say, Joey Porter of the Steelers is going to be on him. Yeah, well, the best corner in football last week, Pat Surtain, was on him, and we saw him put 255 yards and a touchdown. And quite frankly, he should have had 350 yards and 2 touchdowns if Jameis didn't miss him on that wide open streak right down the middle for 80 yards. So for me, he's going to get his stats. He's going to get his numbers. Give me Jerry Jeudy anytime touchdown at plus 220. There's a lot of value on that.
Yo, I love Jerry Jeudy, man. Like we were talking about, way to come back and ball in Denver. Unbelievable to watch him and what he and Jameis Winston did last week. Matt, your third favorite prop before we get into our fantasy segment.
Yeah, my third favorite prop is on a guy. This may be a first for the show. I can't pronounce his last name, so let's just give this a shot. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine.
What a star. What a star.
He's got like 4 touchdowns, and they're all for 100 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, I didn't even know about this. I started just poking around, doing some research. He's got 8 touchdowns in his last 8 games.
Yeah.
He came into the season with 10 total touchdowns in 61 games and 30 starts coming into the season. The only game he didn't score against was the Chargers in those 8 games. So he scored in 7 of the last 8. He scored both of Tennessee's touchdowns last week against Washington. Will Levis has got 7 touchdown passes in his last 4 games. 2 went to Calvin Ridley at the Chargers. 5 other ones went to, I'm calling him NWI, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. And then they go to the Jaguars, 24 passing touchdowns allowed, second only to Houston at 26. Guys, a sneak preview. I wrote this up about 24 hours ago for my anytime touchdowns for Sunday. He was getting plus 300 at Bet365.
Wow.
The best you can get now is plus 195. He was plus 245 later in the day at Caesars. Now it's plus 195 at Caesars. He's come down to like plus 180 at Bet365. So somebody out there has been hammering this in multiple places. That makes me feel even a little bit better about this play. And then before next week, I'll learn how to pronounce this.
Just a big play guy. It feels like every one of his catches either go for 90-yard touchdowns or for just 100 yards. Like every single one of his catches are the most efficient I've ever seen in my life. And I think Alpha had him for 2+ touchdowns last week, didn't you?
I did. So let me tell you something. I'm a big fan of Mr. Westbrook-Ikhine because he won me a nice chunk of change last week.
Nice.
What does he have? Like 17 catches on the year with 8 touchdowns. He's not getting any receptions. It's
right.
Every time he gets it, he's getting in the end zone. He's been a stud.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, let's head on over to our fantasy segment. We've got 400 people live in here. We've had 3.2 thousand, come and go. We absolutely love that. Thank you for hanging with us. Let's head on over to our final segment, Fantasy Stardom Sit-em. And this is another massive bye week, so tune on in because we might just save your fantasy season. I'm going with a stardom. My guy is 𝐿𝐭𝐤 Turpin. How can you not love this guy? How can you not love this guy with all the buys happening right now? He's 4% rostered. 4. He's an absolute boom or bust candidate, but lately he's been booming rather than busting. Pause on that. He's also establishing a solid floor for managers, man. He's gone for 17 points, 7 points, and 6.5 points over the last 3 weeks. He's going up against the Bengals secondary, and if you were listening, you know how bad they are. They're prone to getting torched. I think this is an absolute solid wide receiver play for every manager struggling with buys this week. 𝐿𝐭𝐤 Turpin is my start of the week. Alpha, over to you, brother.
This pains me because I've come on this show and frequently told you to bench this guy because he's been a disaster. But he's picking it up. And Keenan Allen deserves to be back in your starting lineup. Over Keenan's last 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, he had 9 catches for 86 yards and a touchdown. He had 23.6 fantasy points. The only game this year that he's actually had a decent game. And then last week against Detroit, he had 5 catches, 73 yards, and 2 tutties. So this guy's putting up insane numbers right now. If you have him, get him back in your lineup. It's time. He's developing that connection with Caleb Williams that we all thought would happen early in the year. It's happening now.
Getting the volume, too. He's getting the volume. He's looking like the old Keenan Allen for now until, hopefully he doesn't do this, but until he tears a hamstring again, because we know how much he loves doing that.
Yeah.
Start of the week for you, Matt. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I forgot about all the buys. As I've told you guys before, I retired as a fantasy football player several years ago, so I forgot about the buys. This obviously is not a out there on the limb play, but I'm going Chase Brown of the Bengals. Get him in your lineup. Last 4 games, he's 157 combined rushing, receiving yards and a touchdown, 94 combined yards and a touchdown, 143 combined yards, 0 touchdowns, 100 yards combined, 1 touchdown. He's obviously facing the Dallas defense we've talked a lot about when it comes to stopping the run this year. They don't do it. They get their red cape out and olay it, and they give you directions to the end zone. The 147 rushing yards per game, which is 31st in the league, 21 rushing touchdowns, 32nd in the league. So Chase Brown, I'm sure he's already in your lineup, but in case
Chase Brown's an absolute stud. If he's not in your lineup, you're doing something wrong. You're sitting 15 to 17 points a week. He's my RB2 right now because Christian McCaffrey, I'm so sorry for every CMC owner. He is gone for the year.
Brutal.
Yeah. Sit-ems. Let's head on over to our sit of the week, and I'm going straight over to Garrett Wilson, man. This might be tough with all the buys, but if you want to sit anyone and everyone, it's that offense outside of Brees Hall. The Jets they're just abysmal, and Wilson has been a fantasy stud, but not lately, man. He's been a dud over the last 3 weeks. He's produced 41, 18, and 41 yards with 0 touchdowns over the last 3 weeks. Rodgers is looking for Devontae Adams more and more. He's targeting him more and more as the week goes on. There's just simply no chemistry in that passing game as a whole anyway. I'm staying away. Even with all the buys, I'm staying away from Garrett Wilson and that offense as much as possible. So staple that man to your bench. Garrett Wilson's a no-go for me this week. Alpha, you're sitting.
This one pains me as a Giants fan, but Malik Neighbors. He's just not getting the target share. Their Giants are not threatening to score touchdowns right now. And I've come on this program every single week and told you to bet alt lines against the Giants. And if you have, you've been very profitable the last couple weeks. It's another week where the Giants play football. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to find ways around that. So I'm benching Malik Neighbors. He's just really not a big factor. And the Giants' offensive attack, really anybody outside the running back, Tyrod Tracy, I would not have in your starting lineup.
Alpha, you're just that girl, that dancing girl meme who's crying, and she's like, oh, another, she doesn't say it, but I can see that with you. You know the meme I'm talking about, the girl who's crying but dancing as well. You're like, oh, another Giants week of football. Yep. I love football, but I hate watching the Giants.
That's me.
That's literally you every week now. Could be me after this week being a Dolphins fan as well.
But you're not much better than us, brother.
Exactly. We need to win out. We need to win out. It's true. And then I'll be crying with you, brother. Matt, sit of the week, man.
I told you we'd come back to Bijan Robinson here. We're coming back to Bijan Robinson.
Here it is. Here it is.
Boy.
He's facing the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL, 81.3 yards per game. The Vikings have also allowed an NFL low 5 rushing touchdowns this season. Bijan Robinson has faced a grand total of 2 elite rushing defenses this year, 35 yards, no touchdowns against Denver, 31 yards, 1 touchdown against Kansas City. He also had 61 and 63 yards and no TDs in 2 games against the Buccaneers. They're ranked 12th in rushing defense. That's literally the 3rd best rushing defense he's faced. So I'm banking on Minnesota's defense here coming through. But this is just a fantasy sit play. So I'm hoping I'm wrong here so my buddy Alpha can be right with his prop weight.
There you go.
There we go.
Hey, we have each other's back no matter what. We're a big fan of you, right?
Or heck, he scores 1 touchdown, gains 10 yards. Then we all win, right?
I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that.
Yep. Me too. Hello. Anyways, fellas, that honestly just about does it for week 14. I can't believe it's actually week 14, man.
Crazy.
It just feels like yesterday I was so pumped for week 1, and now it's week 14. Thank you so much for tuning in, talking with us, showing love. As always, we'll be back next week, week 15, same time, same place. If you tail us or fade us, just remember we always love you. Remember to sign up for the NFL Capper contest over at Oddspedia for free. Have your chance to win some money. You can also make private leagues now with your friends in our new Oddspedia rival section on the site.
Nice.
Yeah, get your friends together, battle for supremacy. Who's better? Who's the best capper? Let's win some money against your friends. Let's win some money against the sports books. Why not sign up to Oddspedia Rivals, man? Make picks, steal some cash from your buddies. Simply sign up and you're good to go. Head on over to Oddspedia US Twitter. If you don't know how to fully sign up for our monthly or yearly competitions, it's in our pinned tweet. But fellas, let's have a damn week, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Pick some winners, boys.
Good luck, everybody.
Let's go.